Hi again, FCBC fam. My name is Jess. I am your host here at For Creators by Creators. We have worked to build a place for content creators, musicians, artists of any type and at any level to gather, to connect, to collaborate, and ultimately to find out actionable ways from people who have gone ahead of us, who have done it well, who have survived some storms in order to make it easier for us with these tips and these tricks that they share with us. We bring new, incredible artists and creatives to you every single week on Wednesday. And today, I am so excited. I'm like pinching myself about who we have here today because she's an old friend of mine. You've seen a lot of our old friends, but still, this one is, her story is incredible. And I can't wait to dig in. She's in such an exciting moment of her life. So please welcome with me, Felsmere.
Hi, guys.
Hi, beauty.
Oh, it's so nice to be with you, Jess. We've been friends for like 10, 11 years.
It's been it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long
We've seen each
time,
other.
yeah.
I've known you since you were Kelsey Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
yes.
so we have just so much to dig into in a short amount of time. So I'd like to just start by maybe going into the beginnings of your journey as a musician, when you were first finding your voice, finding your style, and then how that translated into bringing it online. And of course, with you, there's also a show element involved. So do you want to kind of walk us through that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I've been doing music my whole life. I signed my first contract when I was 11 with a girl group called Fun Club, and we toured with Radio Disney, and it was amazing. I mean, that's really where I learned how to, be on stage, and I learned harmony parts and learned how to record in the studio. And then cut to when I was 20, I auditioned for the first season of The Voice on NBC.
Yeah, you did.
And so I did participate in that show. I was on CeeLo Green's team, but Adam, Christina, and CeeLo turned for me. So it was such an exciting moment for me at 20 years old. You know, you can imagine.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I mean, coming from such a small town in Florida and just having this moment in LA, it was unreal. It was very surreal for me at the time. And so because of that show, I got the taste of the limelight. I got the taste of, this business, and I was so hungry and eager for more after the show ended and after I was eliminated at the battle rounds. When I went back to Florida, I packed up all my things and drove across country in my Chevy Cobalt.
Shout out Chevy Cobalt.
Shout out to Chevy. And so that's when my journey began in LA. And I've been in LA working on music. I've worked with Grammy Award-winning artists, producers, and, I'm a songwriter and a producer myself now. And I've created so much music, put out singles on my own once I was out of my deal. And, so I've been just doing that. But I decided this year that I wanted to go back on The Voice. And so I auditioned for The Voice. And we just saw that audition. It just aired. And I'm on Team Gwen.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
And it's so funny, too, because the Fels that you have evolved into, I feel like there's such a synergy with Gwen.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
there's just so many stylistic aspects and vocal aspects that make sense. How did that experience differ from your training with CeeLo?
I think that choosing Gwen, I always knew that I wanted to go with Gwen. When I decided I wanted to audition for the show, I said from the beginning, if Gwen turns for me, I'm going to go with her. I feel like we have such a connection and just her style, her energy. She is a Libra, and everybody that's close in my life are Libras. You're
I'm
a
a
Libra.
Libra.
I know. I was like, wait, you're a Libra too.
And I love you.
Yes, no, and I love you, and I love my Libras. My mom and my 3 other best friends are Libras, so everybody that's been in my life for such a long time are Libras, like that have surrounded my life and been there from day one. And so, she's a Libra, and her energy just when I first, met her and when she turned the chair, like it was like connection right off bat. And so I knew that I wanted to go with Gwen because I just felt like we made so much sense. I think that CeeLo, because I was so young, it was just a different experience. And I also didn't know who I was as an artist yet. And I think like I know exactly who I am now. I'd like to say I know exactly who I am now. There's still a lot to get to know, right?
Oh God,
you change
it's every day. That's the joy of living.
Yeah.
That we don't even know what we will become.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm a different person than I was yesterday, but I do feel like I know who I am sound-wise and style-wise a lot more than I did when I was 20. So that definitely differs. And, CeeLo was much older than me at the time. And yeah, so I mean, it's going to be an amazing experience. Like I said, we're just getting started and we just got through the audition process. So we're just getting started on the show, and I think I'm going to have a lot of one-on-one time with her, and I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Oh, we're all excited. We're all going to be tuning in every Monday night. We're going to root her on so hard because the world really needs more of you in these places, because to your point, not only are you so naturally talented, but you have been through a variety of challenges in your life and in your career and in getting your music out there that have made you, I think, a uniquely rare talent and a voice that when you're singing, you can feel the soul in it, right? Obviously, that's, I think, the kind of music also that you just thrive in, but there is that soul present. And so I can't wait to see the world fall in love with you all over again. And to me, the fact that you had the courage and the gumption and the wherewithal at 20 years old, which is, I mean, we think that we know everything at 20. We think we're fully formed, and like our brains are not even cooked yet, right? Like it's such a fragile age, and to have put yourself in that vulnerable position, and then to have been able to thrive first go round, and to make a splash in that scene, and then to spend the next series of years. I've seen you go through, like I said, so many different versions of being in contract, which we'll talk about, being self-producing with your team in Florida and here, and really going on the journey of your own identity, right? Yes. To come back to the show now, I just know you're bringing so much more into that room than you had the access to before, but you're still that same girl who has worked so hard and doesn't let the world tell you no, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's needed.
Just hit the nail on the head, girl. Come on. Come on.
I told you I love you.
Yeah, I love you.
People are going to know that. I love her. She's great. So, okay, let's figure out. So we want to back up a little bit. And you said you've been in contracts since you were 11.
Yeah.
Right? And I know that even with this show right now, there's a version of a contract that comes into it. And you were describing that. I think most people that envision trying to become a musician, a songwriter, a performer, that contract, that elusive contract, is like the golden ticket, and it's the answer to their dreams, and that's when they've made it. But as you've described, it doesn't always necessarily feel good to be in those contracts. Can you tell us what that experience is like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when I was 11, the contract that I entered into, social media didn't really exist when I was 11, right? It was brand new. YouTube was basically what was popping, you know? And so it was such a different world back then. So when I was in that contract, I think it was a really positive thing because I was so young, and, you know, being tied up for 4 or 5 years didn't really matter to me, you know, at that time. But I did enter a new contract in my mid-20s, and it was interesting because I was so excited to, you know, meet these people and work with these people. And I'm not saying that it was all bad, and, you know, I have no bad blood and no negativity toward any of them. I just think that we couldn't see eye to eye in the creative process, and you know, in the artistry, I just had a different vision for myself than they did. And which is so common in this industry. You know, you hear about artists like, oh, I had to change myself to fit their box, you know, and it's like, it's so frustrating because you just want to be your own artist, you know, and you just want to be organically yourself. And so when I was in this contract, I think that we just couldn't get it. We couldn't get it right, you know, and we couldn't see eye to eye. And so I was tied up for a while, and ultimately I got shelved.
Okay.
And
this is from the label.
This is from the label. Okay. Yeah, it was a production deal, but it was under a label. So, yeah, you know, it was just a time in my life where I think that I was able to experience so many different genres and learn so much about myself. And I know now that I can do everything. Like, if I really wanted to, I could do it all. But it just didn't feel organic to me. It didn't feel good, you know? And so I think that once I got out of that deal, that's when I really blossomed as an artist. And I was able to finally find my voice, find my style. And now I feel like I live there. And I was able to put out music as an independent artist finally, and do it my way. And, you know, I think that I'm kind of on a roller coaster because I'll try a couple things and see what works still, because we're always like, why not?
Why not?
Try it out. But yeah, I was able to finally do that. And I think that, having the platform from being on the first season of The Voice, it kind of gave me that leverage when I did go independent to be able to post my music and, you know, have people actually hear it, you know? And so, so I think, you know, just like you said, a lot of artists feel like the end goal is to get that contract. And I think that in this day and age, with content creating and with a platform, you can do it on your own. You don't need a label.
Absolutely.
I hate to say it, guys. You don't need a label. So
you can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself.
You've been the testament to that, right? Because I'll never forget, there was this moment in both of our lives, I think when you signed this deal with this label, or when you were in the conversations to finalize it. And I had an opportunity on the table at the same time that we both looked at each other, having known each other for like 2 or 3 years, and we're saying, is this about to happen?
Yeah.
Are we about to like get out there and have it blossom? And to see that it wasn't exactly the right fit for you, and mine definitely was not the right fit for me, I think it's really important to articulate to people, especially given the amount of tools and technologies we do have available today as creators, which we try and highlight on this show so people know what they have available to do it themselves. With those amount of tools and technologies, and then also with the experience that we've lived through, just know that not every opportunity is going to be right for you. Yeah. Just because you've been waiting for an opportunity doesn't mean you take the first one that comes to you. I believe that there are a ton of counterfeits in this world that are meant to throw you off of track of what you're actually supposed to be doing. There's going to be something yummy and delicious dangled in front of your face before the really good thing comes. So take that beat, take inventory of the people and the person that you might be working with. Know that not all money is good money, and not all opportunities are worth it. And there's a way to fully embody your true artist, creative, content person self within your own space, creating it yourself.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And that's one of the things that you mentioned and that I've seen unplay in your life, is that I think there was, even from the outside, there was this visible ownership that you stepped into with your music. And the music was so totally you. And people love it. It's I know you also, am I allowed to say that you have a series of songs that you have in the can that are going to be releasing soon?
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that, I mean, I think that's really why I wanted to put myself out there again after. I mean, of course, it's really hard. It's a lot of pressure to, you know, go back on a show that you were on. It was like 12, almost 13 years ago, you know, and to go back on that show after so much time has passed.
With no guarantee.
With no guarantee. It was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It was really a lot of pressure. But I'm really glad that I did it. And the show is and has been such a positive experience for me, everybody that works on the show. I recommend it to anybody, The Voice, honestly. I really do. I think just everybody I worked with was amazing. So, but I think that I was waiting for this platform and hopeful to get this platform to be able to finally release an album, which I'm going to be releasing. So it'll be top of the year next year, no matter what happens with the show. Music's coming, guys. So I'm really, really excited to actually, you know, put out a body of work that is fully, truly organically me.
Oh, so I can't wait to see it. Really Those are always my absolute favorite pieces of art to consume also. Is just when you can see that the artist has laid themselves bare to give you a gift. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what I want.
It. Yay.
That's what I want.
So start of the year, mark your calendars.
Yes.
Let's obviously we'll get later to where you can find her, but just make sure you're fully subscribed to the Felsmere experience because there's going to be good stuff coming.
It'll be a winter album, you guys.
Ooh.
Winter album.
You're going to do like do you have any plans to do like a Christmas song? A Christmas
you know what? I should.
You should just. I mean, you don't have enough on your plate. Yeah. Let's add that.
Yeah.
Can we have a Christmas song, please?
Why not?
A holiday song?
Yeah. No big deal.
I would love it.
I'll call my producer right after this.
I play Christmas music in July if I'm having a down day. Yeah. So it'd be such a
Navidad. No, I'm just kidding. I'm bad.
I love it.
Man.
So going back a little bit in your journey also, I know that in knowing you for as long as I have, there was a significant moment in your life in the last few years that I think I've seen how heavily it's impacted you. I can only fathom how much it's impacted you. And obviously that was the loss of your father. And I saw that I think from the outside sent you into such a season of self-reflection, of really like looking at your dreams and your hopes and your values, and then I saw your art just blossom from there. If you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about how your dad has informed your artistic process?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my dad was my biggest fan. I mean, he was he was the type of guy that we would be at a venue, or we would just be at, I don't know, an open mic or some like local bar in my hometown, and I would run to the restroom and I would hear them calling my name onto the stage, like that I was next to perform. And I'm running out of the bathroom like, what is going on? And of course, it's my dad by the stage telling them, my daughter's going to sing for you guys. So that's how he was. That's just the type of person that he was. And, you know, he was just such a huge influence on me and following my dreams. And, you know, he was always like, my baby's a star, my baby's a star. And I think that when you get this like positive, you know,
Positive feedback, you're being fed
Yeah.
with the truth of who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
No, like my dad would just always gas me up. If
Yeah.
I can just say it like that. He
Yeah.
was
He knew what he created.
Yeah, exactly. And he really had my back through it all. But when he was sick, him and I made a promise that I was never going to give up. And you know, I think that I've carried that for sure, because he was my everything, and he passed really soon, you know, like it was too soon for him.
It was sudden.
It was very sudden, and it was too soon. But I carried this promise, and I knew, like, I was like, okay, something's got to give. Like, what can I do to get this platform? I need this platform to put out this album, you know?
Yes.
And remembering this promise that I kept to him, I'm like, should I just do the show again? Should I try it again and just, you know, throw it out there and see what happens, right? And so, you know, I think that he has been with me through this whole process. And when I started the show, or before I even signed the contract to start the process of auditioning for the show, I was on the fence about it. I was definitely going back and forth and trying to decide whether I was actually going to pull the plug and make it happen. And I kept seeing the number 33 so often.
Yeah.
And it was actually crazy how much I was seeing the number 33.
Yeah.
You know, Uber destination time, receipts. And this was every day. It was back to back to back to back. And before I went on stage, I actually went into one of the rooms to do wardrobe. I had just gotten hair and makeup done. And I went into one of the rooms to get changed into my wardrobe for stage. And on the floor, there was a little ticket, and it said 33 on it. And it was so like
Random.
What, you know? And I have a little video. Like, I took a video because I was just really freaked out, but in the best way.
If you
know?
send us the video, we can splice it in so people can see it real quick. So do you guys want to see it? Maybe we'll show it to you.
I got the video for you. Okay, not a 33, just sitting on the floor of my dressing room randomly.
That's pretty powerful stuff. But
it's crazy.
It's like he was there.
And you know, let me just preface, like, the number 33 in angel numbers, it means that the universe is patting you on the back, that you're on the right track, but it also means that your angels are with you on your journey. And so, you know, me knowing this and seeing this on the floor, you can only imagine the emotions that came upon me. I was like bawling, just got hair and makeup done.
Oh, yeah.
Bawling, mascara is running down my face. The stylist is coming. She's like, "What's wrong?
What did you do
know?
to my
Yeah,
work?"
what happened?" And so she, you know, I told her, and she was like, she took a little piece of tape and she taped it onto a little piece of cardboard, and I put it in my back pocket before I hit stage. And so I knew that my dad was with me, and it's such a special. I'm super spiritual, and it was such a special thing for me. But my dad is like my biggest fan, biggest influence in continuing to do what I love. Obviously, I have to love it enough to continue. But I think that knowing that he was with me throughout this whole process is just it's incredible. So
yeah, it's like love it enough so that you can carry this journey.
Yes.
And he loves you enough, and he's carrying you through it, right?
Yes.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
There are just chills all over my body.
Yeah.
What did that feel like, having to, because I can't imagine the amount of stage fright I would have at any like fraction of what you've done. What did it feel like to have those emotions going into performance? Do you think that it like added more to the performance?
You know, I think my blind audition performance, if I'm being completely honest with you, was the most nervous I've ever been. But I think that yeah, I think that because I was so emotional thinking about dad and thinking about, because he was on the first season with me. He was there
Okay.
with me. He was in all the footage. He was there with me. And so just thinking about dad and thinking about, bringing him onto stage. I think I was just like in the moment of like thinking of him and his face and how he would react on stage, which he would probably make a joke or something, do something funny. But I feel like that was definitely the most nervous that I've ever been, probably in any performance. I'm usually really comfortable on stage, but like I said before, it's so much pressure because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that the chairs are going to turn.
No.
You know what I mean? And so me coming back and having to have full confidence in myself that I was going to go through is like, like I feel like somebody was holding on to my vocal cords.
Yeah.
But I think obviously I delivered a good enough performance for Gwen and Michael Bublé to turn for me. So it was, what I wanted. And Gwen was definitely the coach that I wanted from the beginning. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. So, yeah, we'll keep tuning in to see how that plays out.
Yes.
But in knowing you for as long as I have, like I said, I know that there's so much more to your artist, your musician, your creator journey than even just this moment, which is, again, to be on it twice, that's so much more than most humans will ever like have the guts to try and do. And to be as talented as you are, to have been successful at those steps, I think is a testament to your talent and to your desire to keep going out there and putting yourself out there.
Thank you, Mama.
Because obviously when you go from the process of being with a label or having some type of traditional team behind you in content creation, in your music, in putting things online, to doing it on your own, it's a different lift.
Yeah.
And it's a different freedom. Can you tell
Absolutely.
us about what that was like and how maybe like social tools, digital tools played into allowing you to create that work yourself?
Yeah. So I think that, it took me kind of a long time to even muster up the confidence to post about my things because it's sensitive, it's your art and it's like, oh, well, what if they don't like it or what if they don't connect with it, and I think that once I got over that and I decided like, no, I am just going to post this and I am going to see what happens. I think that when you're authentically yourself, no matter what the comments say, no matter how many views it gets, if you're posting it, no matter what, being exactly who you want to be, I think that that's when your message actually gets across, and I think that it took me a long time because I have a lot of insecurities. I'm not going to lie. I really do. I have a lot of insecurities about my art, about putting things out. And I think that it took me a long time to just post and just do it. And once I did, then I was like, oh, people actually are connecting with this and they're connecting with who I am. And I think that, thank God for social media because every time I post a song, I have to post it on my page or all of my platforms. And then all my friends are reposting it and it's just spreading, it spreads like wildfire. And so I think that, without social media, I don't think that any of my music would be heard.
Yeah.
So.
And well, I'm curious if this is the reality you experienced. I would imagine that even when you're in a seat, or let's just say even with the show 13 years ago, that the moment you have some big entity behind you, but again, to your point, there's a lot of control, there's a lot of editing, there's a lot of production, there's a lot of other interests that are clouding a little bit maybe or having to take priority over just you and your art and your authentic self. I would imagine that the moment you have the guts to put out something that's like get past that block, right? That resistance that we all face, that fear of what is going to happen if I do this. And you take that leap and you honor yourself that way. And then you put that work out there and you have that like pausing moment of dread. And then you get the first bit of seeing.
I know exactly what you mean by saying that.
And it's
so
funny because as I've like most of the stuff I've put out there, I'm a ghostwriter. So a lot of the time I'm doing it under someone else's name. Yeah. This show was that for me because I've never been on the in front of the camera. I've never been in my own skin doing it, and so I had that moment of dread, being like,
"Well, you're killing it." By the way,
this is gonna be.
Side note: you're killing it. By the way,
that's very sweet of you to say. I'm still so happy that you're here. This is such a good one. But the point is that when you get past that moment of dread, and you see the first person that connects with what you did. I would imagine that moment of connection, that new person, that real feedback, that real connection might trump to some degree that feeling of just hyper exposure on a bigger platform with somebody else pulling the strings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what you've experienced?
Yeah, I think that the goal is to control your narrative, and that, when you're signed, a lot of times when you're signed to a label, or you have these higher ups that are telling you what to do, telling you what to post, telling you what not to post, which is very hard for me because I'm a rule breaker.
Yeah, you are.
I like to break the rules. And so that is really hard for me. But I think that it is such a beautiful thing with content creating and having your own platform to be able to control your narrative. I think that that's the goal, and tell your story the way that you want to tell your story.
Yeah.
And, without these social platforms, like, how could you get that message across?
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, tell us, what is your narrative?
Oof, goodness. My narrative is that I have been in and out of deals my entire life, since, 11 years old.
Yeah.
I knew from the age of 3 that I wanted to be a singer. I sang on stage with my mom at her shows, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and was just always singing. I always had a mic in my hand. And I knew I wanted to be a performer, and I moved to LA. I, worked in the nightlife industry.
We were both in it at the same time, I think.
We had to pay
we were like,
bills,
how do we
girl.
pay these bills? This rent is expensive out here. We're 20 years old.
Yeah, exactly. We had to pay the bills. And that experience actually, it was a positive experience, but I think that I got to a place where it was bringing depression into my life because of the late hours and the, working all the time, being tired all the time. And so when I got signed to my deal in my mid-20s, then I was able to actually, work on my artistry and grow in that way. And then I lost my father, and I got shelved from my deal in the same month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was really intense for me to handle, and it took me a long time to kind of get out of that like dark depression that I was in. But after like a year, I ended up going on a spiritual journey, and meditation and breath work and things like this, and holistic wellness plays such a big role in my life now. And I was able to kind of heal in a healthy way, whereas I wasn't before. You know, it was really bad. And who I am now is just so different than who I was and how I handled situations prior to this journey that I went on. And I think that played a huge role in my creation of my art, you know, and I was able to be exactly who I am and be this vulnerable person that I am, because I am a very sensitive, vulnerable person, and I love to show that side of me. And, losing my father was definitely the hardest thing that could ever happen to me. And I still deal with it today. Crying. Love you.
I'm holding your hand over here.
Every time I talk about him, it's just grief has no timeline.
No.
Right? So it comes and goes in waves. But I know that the journey and the path that I'm on right now, and me putting myself out there and going back on this show is exactly what he would have wanted.
And
he's
dancing for you.
He really
He's
is.
dancing to your voice.
He really is. And my blind audition song that I did was actually like a song that he loved. And so it was just like, that also played a part. And it's just very special that I'm back and that I dedicated it to him.
Well, and I want to just really quickly tell you that the emotions, the way that how deeply you love him, that's a beautiful thing to witness. I think we're at a point in time where our mental health collectively in one of the most free countries in the world is still so fractured.
Absolutely.
That I think there's been this kind of cultural move to separate families in some way, or to allow temporal things to get in the way of bloodlines. And I know that not everybody's truth is that they're going to be able to have that connection with their family members and the people they're related to. But I think that when we witness it, it's hopeful.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
so I want to encourage you to never, don't ever hold back that emotion, because I think it's healing for people.
For sure.
And it's probably healing for you too, right?
Oh,
To
yeah.
just have something so present always, an angel in your life,
Yeah.
on your shoulder, in your back pocket.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you're so right. Like, it's so rare for people to have the connection that I have with my whole family, honestly, but with my dad, and I got 25 amazing years with him. And I think that, when I cry, every time you cry about something that you went through, you're emptying your cup a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So, you don't want the cup to runneth over, because then it's heavy and you can't get out of bed, and
Oh,
you can't,
yeah.
I mean,
We were just talking about
We were
that.
just
We were
talking
like,
about this.
because depression is I have chills just us talking about it, because depression is such a unique beast. It will convince you of just blatant lies about you and about your family and about the people around you and about the entire world, and the fact that existence is too heavy. It will tell you, and it's worth mentioning that that we just left Suicide Awareness Month, right, in September, and the fact that so many people are just sitting in that darkness because it feels too hard to get out. We've both experienced that. I'm only 9 months out from my very first experience with completely paralyzing depression. And to your point, I think one of the most healing, transformative remedies for me was being able to tap into the ether, tap into spirituality, find something that that this world can't control with its mess.
Yep.
And just see if you can source some joy from that.
Yep.
And then also nature and getting in tune with your body. I live in Utah right now after 10 years in LA, and I didn't even realize. I've lived in cities my whole life as an adult, and I lived in Paris and Rome as like a 19 and a 21-year-old, and I never thought I was scared or in fear of my safety. I always thought, like, we've moved through these spaces in nightlife with that could be dangerous. And I don't think either one of us has ever really stopped and been like, ooh, I can't go into that space.
Yeah.
But then when I moved to Utah and was immersed in so much nature and in a generally peaceful environment, I was like, I must have felt unsafe my whole life, because this is different.
Yeah.
This breathing is different than what I was doing there.
Yep.
And I think so often we find out that the things that we are surviving or the things that we are battling against, we might not even know how hard we're fighting until we've crossed over and have some room to breathe. And I would encourage anybody watching, just because tapping on that, it will get better.
Yes, it really
Just-
will.
It will get better.
It really will. And I encourage you guys to breathe, do breath work if you can. Meditation changed my life. So I think just sitting with yourself and spending time alone. I learned the most about myself when I was alone.
Yes.
By myself, dealing with my issues and, my demons by myself. And I had to pull myself out of it, and it definitely made me so much stronger. And so
Thank you for touching on that too.
Yes,
I
of
think it's such an
course.
important part of this journey, because you are, to some degree, as a creator, and especially if you'll probably have a team. Like, I know you have a team of people you trust with the music you have released and that you are creating and that you are releasing. And so don't do it alone. But when you are putting yourself out there, it's so easy to feel isolated or to feel lonely, and there are ways to tap into those moments of isolation and extract so much growth and juice for your future.
yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And it just makes the art better.
It makes the art better.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it definitely tragedy, like it plays a part in art, and you kind of just have to immerse yourself into creating, when you're feeling like that. And yeah, my best work has come from emotion, honestly, and that's just what it is. But yeah, I go in and out of it, right? So it's like happy, sad, but that's an artist mentality.
100%. Like,
So,
it cannot be
yeah.
understated how, I don't know, maybe this is not everybody's experience, but I feel like there's like 16 different things happening at once in
Totally.
the creative mind, because you're thinking about what you're looking at and making sure, like, if I'm driving my car, I'm not going to get into the other person's lane or whatever, but at the same time, you're seeing color and light and you're seeing movement in a way that actually makes sense in a different way and is pulling focus from just the reality in front of you. Have you ever experienced that
Yes.
before?
Yes.
And so generally, artists and creatives, we're gonna like probably seem scatterbrained or in some circumstances with me, I can seem a little manic. But it's just this beautiful like double thing happening. And then when you can funnel that into your artwork,
Yeah.
magic happens.
Yes, definitely.
Where are you sourcing the idea for, because you're the songwriter also, like you're doing end to end, like you said. How much, what does that look like for those that aren't in the music industry? What does beginning to end look like?
Well, it just depends for me. My favorite kind of session is starting with either guitar or having several musicians come in to the studio, and we'll start from scratch, right? And we'll just kind of start to put ideas together. And I love to build a song from scratch. I always come with an idea though. So I'll be home and I'll come up with melodies in my head. I'm a melody girl, so I'll come up with melodies in my head. I'll bring them into the studio, and me and either my producer, my engineer, and then several musicians will start from scratch, or it'll just be myself, my engineer, and my producer, and we'll do it together. And so, yeah, we'll start that way, and we'll be in the studio, and we're just going back and forth, bouncing ideas off of each other. And once the entire song is created, or once the scratch, we would call it, right? The scratch is created. I'll bring it home, and then I will just be alone and kind of write on my own. I love to get ideas from my team, and they're more than welcome to give me their input and ideas and creative direction that they would go. And I kind of just take it all and, form it together. But I really love to write just in isolation.
Yeah.
I really love to be in nature, like we talked about.
Come to Utah.
Yeah, no, I love Joshua Tree. I love even just driving out to Malibu and being on the beach by myself. Like I've done that several times. I love to just be outside when I'm writing. I think that when I'm just like in a room and it's all dark, it doesn't work for me. I like light, so I follow the lights.
I'm like I'm good with all that. I want some light.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I prefer to get outside, especially even getting outside of the city, like getting out of LA, going to Florida. I'm coming to Utah, I guess, but I prefer to songwrite not in like a small enclosed dark space. So that's how it usually goes. And then I'll write the song, we'll get back in, we'll record the song, and we will finish it. So we'll add drums, or we'll add whatever else the song needs. And that's when my team and I kind of work together to really create something beautiful. And I got so lucky with my team. Shout out to my team, because it's just a few of us, and it's like these people have worked with me for 8+ years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And never ask for anything in return. They just love the creative process, and they love working with me, and I love working with them. And I'm so lucky, because that's not how most people operate in this industry. But they see the end goal, and I see the end goal with them, and I'm gonna bring them with me wherever I go, and vice versa. And I think it's just such a beautiful process, and I just love making music. Like I'm so excited to put my album out.
I'm so excited too.
It's really exciting.
And also, let's be honest, like if there's a person that you're going to put a bet on, it would be you, right?
you,
Like
baby.
that's not a really risky bet. I bet you that there's going to be huge dividends to that sacrificial work that they're doing with you, because they believe in it. And I think that's also so rare in the artist experience, that you find those people. So yay, shout out to our team.
Yeah, shout out to my team.
I know that we were talking about how when you are putting your authentic self into, in this case, your music, that makes the music better, right? It makes it so much more tangible and applicable and deeply felt. What has the process of creating your music taught you about you?
Ooh, yeah. You know what? I think that I found out pretty quickly that I am a perfectionist.
Perfection paralysis is real, guys.
Yeah, I am absolutely a perfectionist. I will take, a recording home, and it will be even the mastered piece, right? I'll take it home, and I'll go back and forth with my engineer about, I want to change this, or I want to change this, or can we add this? And he's like, it sounds perfect. And I'm like, no, but like, I hear that's a little too loud, or the drums need to come up a little bit. Like, it's just, and I'm talking like 1 to 2, like volume wise. Like it's nothing crazy, and nobody else hears
100%.
it but me.
I know
right?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I found out for sure that I am a perfectionist, but I think that I just found out how much I love doing this and how much I love songwriting. Like I love it so much that not only, did the spirituality take play in my healing process, but if I didn't have music, if I didn't have, my pen and paper, I don't know what I would do, because I would go crazy. Like I would literally go crazy. It's a part of my healing process. My songwriting is really a part of all of that. And I need it. Like I need it. When I'm feeling down, I write. When I'm happy, I write. When I'm hysterically crying over something, I write, you know. And I think you can definitely relate to that, because we're both kind of in that space. And yeah, I think that I just know that I need it in my life, and it will never go away. And I think that's definitely what I learned about creating.
Well, and to your point about the perfectionism, it's so funny you say that, because are you type A outside of your music, do you find, or no?
Is it bad to say that I don't know?
No, it's not bad to say that at all. It could be a silly question.
Yeah. No, I'm like, do I know? Like, how do you know if you're type A or type B?
Well, as I understand type A, it's just this hyper organized, typically, is it left or, I don't actually, left or right brain? Okay, we're both like confused. Oops. But generally, the type A is just being able to operate in structure, in organization, in having like amortized steps towards something.
Yeah.
And as somebody that didn't consider myself a creative until my 30s, like I've been writing since I was a child. I dabbled briefly in artwork to try and carry on my grandpa's legacy, my brother's incredible talent. I tried to kind of borrow from that a little bit, but I never had that identity or felt like I was in that flow state until recently. And the type A brain of the scholastic, academic, structured corporate Jess sometimes really battles the creative process, right? Okay. And I think that I've battled also with some OCD, where that perfectionism can get in the way of production, right? Okay, and I've the lesson I've had in front of me this whole year with this especially is done is better than perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes like I totally get what you're saying, where you're like, no one else is gonna see this thing.
Yeah.
But I can't not see it, or I can't not hear it, or I can't step away until it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's a level of mastery that reflects the fact that you're able to see those nuances, and then there's also a level of freedom that we could both probably experience if we release it a little.
I think that I'm not a very organized person. I can definitely say that. Like I need an assistant at all times, which I don't have one. So
hey, anybody looking to be an assistant? Comment below. Let us know.
So I think that I probably type B. I would say.
I don't even know what type B is at the beginning, so it's like,
we're left or right brain, we're creative brain. But yeah, when it comes to the organization, but I do. Like my only part that I resonate with that is just like that my ear is so on point that I hear things that nobody else hears. But I think that that's just because I've been doing this for so long. And even my engineer and my producer, they always they're like, how did you hear that? Like, how did you hear that? Or I'll hear a click, or like the mic will had still been on when we end the song, and maybe I hit the mic or something, and you can hear it, and I can hear it in the song, and they'll mute everything and play it, and they're like, oh my gosh, he was right. So my ear is crazy. And so in that case, I definitely am a perfectionist when it comes to my creative process and my music. But everything else, I'm pretty
that sounds like unorganized.
Pretty unorganized with everything else, but
which also is, I think, part of the generally understood artist temperament, right?
Definitely.
So obviously with the show, we're going to see things play out, and there's only so much we can touch on today. But separate from that, whatever happens with that, what is the thing in the near future that you're excited for with your own self, with your own art, with what you're doing next and going to create?
I like I said, I really want to put out an album. I feel like I have, like, my catalog, my archives is just so much. Like, there's so much music that's unreleased. And I think that kind of goes back to me being insecure about my art. And I think that I was for a really long time. And so I kind of hold on to it because I'm like, no, it's mine. And like, if I don't give it to other people, they won't ruin the joy in it being mine, you know? But at this point in my life, and with the platform that I have, but also hopefully we'll have, you know, this new fan base from the show, I'm ready to put out that art, and I'm ready to have confidence in it. And I think that my next steps is definitely putting out an album and going on tour.
Yeah,
I really
girl.
want to tour. I love being on stage. I think that that's the one thing about being an artist that I love the most is performing. I really, really love it. I think I was made to do it. And I truly believe that, because there's nothing that feels better to me than when I'm on stage, you know? So yeah, I want to go on tour, and I want to just keep creating music. I would love to songwrite for other artists. So I'm a songwriter, and I would love to songwrite for other artists. And I just want to continue to do my music. I want to grow, you know, a community of people in holistic wellness as well, and hopefully be a part of, you know, some retreats in the future that, you know, will help people heal in natural ways. And, you know, because I went through it myself. And so if I can, you know, be a voice to anybody who's trying to understand how to heal and not go down this, you know, dark black hole path, then I would say, you know, holistic wellness and holistic healing. And so I would love to be the voice in that industry as well, and in that space as well. So
I just have had chills this whole time, because I think that it's important to say that we've said we've known each other for a while, and you've always been amazing. And I met you, I think, within a year or two of that first season. And you've always dazzled in a way, but the person you've become through all of that, the person in front of me today, the person that the world's going to get to see, is just this whole other level of who you are.
Thank you,
so I can only imagine with this next step, with these next dreams realized, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is going to continue to happen. I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah, thank you, Mama. I appreciate it. It's the same with you. I mean, I feel like we're kind of on the same parallel level. Like, we're doing, you know.
Well, you're doing really big things, and I'm just trying to show up.
So is she, guys. So is she.
But look at us go. I'm so proud of us.
I know, me too. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of us.
And I could talk to you all day, but I do know we're probably getting a little bit close on time. So with what we've discussed so far, is there any other element of any advice that you'd give to either younger Kelsey or to somebody that's watching on this episode, or any lasting, like, part of your journey we haven't touched on yet?
I would say, look, I would honestly say that if you are hesitant about posting your art or about sharing anything that you've created, don't be. I think that, you know, the consumer is going to connect with you if you are exactly who you are, you know, be organically yourself, be unapologetically yourself always, and never give up. I mean, I have been doing this my entire life. I'm 33 right now.
33.
And 33.
Isn't
33.
There it is again.
And there it is
You're
again.
on the right path.
There it is again. And, you know, I have never given up. This is what I want to do, and I'm not going to stop until I, you know, make my dreams a reality. And I think that everything is kind of coming into fruition right now because I didn't stop. And I really truly believe, like, nobody is going to step in your way. You're the only person standing in your way. So I think that that's the advice that I can give. And post. I got to tell myself that too, but always post and never be insecure about your art.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yay.
Thank you again. I can't say it enough. It's funny that we talked about the darkness even, because I was telling my mom, I said, just to speak to those again that are getting through it. There's this pressure on women in your 30s with your age, right? And with, like, entering these new seasons. And I remember saying to my mom earlier this year, having been so fresh out of such a dark season and feeling like I was just fully in the light, I was like, it actually feels like it's a first birthday.
Absolutely.
It actually feels like it's an opportunity to realize that, like, you can restart yourself at any point.
Any age, anytime.
Anytime. And when you do, I mean, again, it's powerful. I see it in you. I see it in me. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Yay.
We're in our prime, girl.
Yeah.
Purr.
Purr, she said. Oh, I love it. Purr.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Obviously, I was just bubbling over to bring you this episode with my dear friend, and we are going to be watching so closely to see this play out for you. And I can't wait. And once it's all said and done, we're gonna have to have you back on here to have another exploration of what the journey's like. But to those of you watching at home or listening on a drive or on anything you might be doing, I thank you once again for giving us a shot at your time and your attention. We're really committed to having this be a resource that's actionable, that is interactive, that you can actually play a part in helping form, because we're doing it with you in mind. And the creators that we find and the ones that are willing to sit with us have you in mind in these conversations. So please feel free to leave any comments below. If you're looking to be an assistant to this one, let us know.
Let me know, girl. Let me know. Or boy.
Or boy.
Whoever.
And then if you haven't already, please hit subscribe just so that you can be notified when we drop a new episode every Wednesday. In the meantime, be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, be gentle with other people, and just keep pushing on. Don't be afraid, and we'll see you again soon.
See you soon. Thanks, guys. Thank you, baby.
I just hit the mic with it.
Ah.
Yay!
Yay!